How you doing, Paul? How's your weekend?
Great, you?
I had a great weekend.
What'd you do?
Man weekend. I had 3 buddies from high school come over. We had the Nintendo hooked up. We were playing basketball. We lowered the hoops to 8.5 feet. It was awesome.
Really?
Yeah. So we played a little Nintendo. We played Kings of the Beach. We love that volleyball game.
What's that?
It's a volleyball game. 2 players cooperatively. You could do. It was fun.
Never heard of Kings of the Beach.
I was going to ask you. I know you're a big Super Mario 3 guy.
Yeah, I've never heard of Kings of the Beach.
You're
Super
gonna-
Nintendo or regular Nintendo?
Regular Nintendo.
Yeah, never played it.
I can't remember. It's actually pro. They had the license, so you get the pro players and.
Oh boy, I bet that's fun.
It's a lot of fun. Circa 1991.
Who are some of the pro players?
Randy Stoklos and St. John Smith, I think.
What?
See, do you
Those
remember
sounds
these
like
names?
porn stars.
Maybe
Maybe they are now.
They can do that on the site. So, other than Mario 3, what's your favorite Nintendo game?
Probably Contra.
Contra.
Yeah.
Yeah, we didn't get that. But see, we've got our buddy Corey. He lives down in Rochester. He doesn't make it up for the man weekend for the full weekend, just for a day. And so when we were playing basketball, we said we should put it on the GoPro and audition as a tryout to see if you would be our 4th. So maybe you can make it next year for man weekend.
I don't play basketball.
All right. Well, sorry, Greg, Chris. Guess MeatSauce is out. Let's start the show. You wouldn't play basketball with us?
Oh, I have little hands.
What about wiffle ball?
Sure.
Wiffle ball.
Yeah.
All jokes aside, disc golf?
I used to play when
Disc golf is good, and so is real golf.
I used to play disc golf a lot, if you know what I mean.
All right. I do know what you mean.
Yeah. Oh,
All right,
a lot.
MeatSauce and Monty. I'm Matt Montgomery. He's Paul MeatSauce Lambert. Today we're going to talk a little bit of Vikings. You were there yesterday at Saturday practice. That's kind of like their big send-off for Mankato, end of training camp. They're heading off to Cincinnati. What was going on Saturday night?
Well, the one thing, AJ and I always do the broadcast live down in Mankato at Blakesley Stadium. And I always say to AJ, I say the one thing we want to see is nobody walk off the field or get carted off the field.
Right.
Well, Eric Kendricks walked off the field about midway through the practice and never returned.
Did they ever say why?
And they're really this year specifically, they're really keeping all of that in-house. They're not letting anybody know what the injuries are. Like Fusco, they just said it won't be very long. Sure. And with Eric Kendricks, I have heard nothing since yesterday. About 24 hours ago, I have heard nothing about what is wrong with Eric Kendricks. But Teddy Bridgewater airmailed a couple of passes. But from the most part, he looked decent. All the guys. I mean, there's just really, it's weird because there's no major injuries yet because some of these guys get really hurt in training camp. Now they go against Cincinnati. You got to dodge that bullet without anybody getting seriously hurt. But if you can get through most of this unscathed and you don't lose a Phil Lodeholt like you did last year, and you don't lose a John Sullivan like you did around this time last year, then you'll be perfectly fine. But as soon as we find out what's wrong with Kendricks, if it isn't something serious, so far so good for them.
Yeah. We talked about there's really been no controversies, and I'm not trying to say that the Vikings have always had trouble down in Mankato, but we know that there have been plenty of storylines that are not necessarily on the field related. This year has been very quiet. I think that it seems like Zimmer has really got his team under wraps where they're not causing trouble down in Mankato. And like you said, not a whole lot of injuries. So there's nothing but positivity coming out of this year, which is great.
Yeah.
But it also makes for somewhat boring headlines.
I mean, if you wanted a negative, it could be the fact that they went in with a really strong depth at offensive line, and now Berger's taking snaps at right guard. Lodeholt's retired. Mike Harris is out with an illness, so we still don't know what it is, and he was on the sidelines. Sharif Floyd last night was on the sidelines in shorts and a T-shirt. So these things can add up, but you'd rather get them out of the way now than you want these guys healthy in December and rather than in August. I mean, you need them all healthy, but if they have a couple of, bangs and bruises in August, you'll take that if you don't have it in December.
Sure. One of the storylines that actually did grab some notes, Blair Walsh, 6 of 7 from the field. And I find it funny, we talked about Blair Walsh, I think in our first episode of he's one of the bigger storylines. Can he recover from that? I think it's funny that your kicker is kind of one of he's grabbing the headlines and 6 for 7 on the field and Saturday night practice in front of 10,000 down in Mankato. Yeah, is that a big deal?
Yeah. I mean, 6 for 7's fine. He was good other than that miss at the end and other than a couple of the preseason games. He was good.
Yeah.
I mean, it was like 88% or something. He was good most of last year except for the kick that counted, the 27-yarder that he missed. I thought it would have been a really good bit if they brought him out and he just booted a 27-yard field goal and just kind of turned around to the crowd like this. But, they're serious down there. But, yeah, he's got the part, and it's his job to lose. And if he does what he does again last year in the regular season but makes some of these postseason field goals, this team could be really good.
there was a quote from Mike Prefer, special teams coach, and he said he's not over that. He said he's moved on past it, but I think the quote was he will never get over it or never forget it, but that he's just moved on.
Yeah.
Do you think that, I mean, as fans, we're all going to know, yeah, we should have, but that's last year. The fact that he's still getting these headlines for, 6 for 7 on Saturday night, the 27-yard field goal. I mean, what does it take to get over that other than continue play and move on to next season?
Well, they play, they play Tennessee the first game of the week. You know, if you get a big field goal in that game and maybe a game-winning field goal, I think it all kind of boils down to a kick that means something.
Sure.
That's when you maybe you can move past it. But if he can come in at that first game in U.S. Bank Stadium and boot one through the uprights to beat the Packers 27-24, then maybe you get over it. But until you kick a kick that matters, a regular season kick, a kick that wins you a game, a kick that in December or January,
sure.
You can't get over it just going, I was 6 for 7 at a night practice in front of half the crowd who's hammered. But if you can get over it, you got to wait till the regular season. And it's a game that either, as I've said a couple times here, it either gets you a win or moves you on in the playoffs. Then you can't get over it.
Sure.
You can't kick a field goal in Seattle in 2 weeks and you're going to get over it. That even though it's that team, it doesn't matter.
Preseason.
You got to kick a field goal that counts. And as long as he does that and passes that first test with flying colors, you just one less thing to worry about.
Sure. You know, we were saying that they're so positive. Nothing but positive for Teddy, Laquan Treadwell, the defense, like you said, maybe the line, offense, defense, maybe a few injuries. But Adrian, there's really been no stories. And I said purple positivity. This is the year where Teddy's better, throwing the long ball. Laquan getting so many reps with the first team. He could be making a huge impact this season.
Yeah, I will say there were a couple times yesterday, and AJ pointed out, because of course I just want the season to start. I'm just excited to watch grown men that are younger than me throw a football. But there were a couple passes last night in that night scrimmage or night practice, whatever they call it, where Teddy looked really bad.
Really?
He airmailed a couple guys. I mean, it looked like he hasn't fully gotten into that where he just drops back and slings it downfield. He threw a couple of good passes, but a couple of times these receivers had to, come back for it. Laquan had to jump about 2 feet in the air with those long arms to catch it. So he wasn't as crisp as you want to see him, and he'll play maybe a series this Friday. But in that third preseason game, we want to see him march this team down and get 2 touchdowns at least through the air if possible, because Adrian won't be in the backfield. But he didn't look perfect yesterday. It didn't look, it wasn't awful, but it wasn't perfect.
To be honest, I think that's the most critical thing I've heard about Teddy. He wasn't perfect. He's throwing he was sloppy. That's about the worst I've heard.
You can't have that, though. And I love Teddy Bridgewater as a human being, and I love him as a guy, and I love him as a Minnesota Viking. All these people that are like, well, we're going to go to the Super Bowl. You have to realize that I get he was great, highest percentage. He's throwing it 6 yards. And Ben Lieber made the point where he doesn't care what the deep ball's like. We're going to need that deep ball in a playoff game, in a game down the stretch, an outdoor game. We're going to be down by 10 going into the third quarter. And he can't be missing on these deep passes, which he has a couple of times, and yesterday he did it. Now, he's got the leadership of the team, but we can't just say right away that he's going to be throw for 4,500 yards and 30 touchdowns. He threw for 14 touchdowns last year.
Yeah.
So
got to be better.
I love him as a guy. He's a really great guy. He said hi to me at training camp.
So that's cool.
True story. But he's not a great quarterback yet.
All right. Not yet. But
not yet.
All right. Time for our first break. We'll be back talking a little bit more about U.S. Bank Stadium and the debut with soccer. We're going to talk soccer.
What?
Time for a break. All right, really quick before we talk about the stadium, Hall of Fame. Brett Favre, Tony Dungy. Your
Great.
thoughts?
I love Brett Favre. I would pay money for Brett Favre to be the quarterback again. He joked last night.
Still to this day?
Yeah, absolutely. How he wants to take a series. And I love Teddy. As I said, I would take Brett Favre. And I know this is
That'd be so awesome.
A different network. Watch the Brett Favre, John Gruden thing on YouTube. It won't be up there long because ESPN will take it down. It is brilliant. He gets hit by John Randall, and the comment he makes is, I watch it about 15 times. Awesome. It's awesome. Amazing.
What do you think about in Canton, the display that they had that was Packer jersey, Vikings jersey, and Favre said he wants to be remembered as a Packer, and fans are it's created kind of a fun little schism, if you will, of Packer fans and Viking fans.
He had his best statistical year as a Minnesota Viking.
Yeah.
He should have won the MVP that year. I'm sure one of the Mannings won it because they seem to win it all the time. We were talking about it before we came on the air. If he wins the Super Bowl with that Minnesota Vikings team, if he doesn't throw across his body or maybe completes that pass and they kick an easy 30-yard field goal and win the Super Bowl and go on and beat, doesn't matter who it was. But
Colts.
the Colts. They would have killed the Colts. If they go in and beat the Colts in that Super Bowl, it's a big deal.
Yeah.
And he had to say last night, well, I'm a Packer forever. Well, we get it. We're happy for you. But I love that jersey's in there. The Packer fans are the biggest babies. He played here and
How do
he
you
was
really
good.
feel?
Well, they're all like, well, I don't want that. We have to ignore
Right.
it. He almost went to the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
How many did he win in Green Bay? 1. Think if he'd won 2 and 1 was with Green Bay and 1 was with Minnesota.
And the one with Minnesota
He was
might have been
close.
better.
Right. That 09 team shred.
All right. Now we can talk about soccer and U.S. Bank Stadium.
Soccer?
Well, okay.
We're going to get a contract that we wouldn't talk soccer.
You signed that. Well, we're not technically talking soccer. We're talking about the stadium.
Okay.
It's just that the first ever event there got to be soccer.
Yeah.
64,000 there. The place was packed. Everybody was excited. A lot of negative reviews. And here's what was negative. Not the event, and we can be negative about that if you want to laugh about it.
Well, the event sucked. But
You said it was so boring.
it's so boring.
So
I'm sorry.
boring.
I can't. Obviously, I'm 10 pounds of groceries stuffed in a 5-pound bag. I can't play soccer. I never have. It's so boring. It's the most boring sport on the planet. Tweet at me. I don't care. Soccer sucks.
I love watching my kids play soccer.
Sure,
but watching
that's cool.
No, and
That's
it's
totally
different,
cool.
though. It's different.
Yeah.
It is different.
It's just a boring game, and their fans are, you don't get it. Well, I don't get what? You kick a ball down the field? That's tough.
All right, let's get back to the stadium.
Sorry.
So, I love that. That rant was great. But
I'm
the stadium.
full of it today, Matt. I'm full of it.
You've got so many rants.
Yeah.
The negative criticism. Food lines.
Yep.
Bathrooms were great. Transportation. Mass transit, it seems like the light rail couldn't handle the capacity afterward.
Yeah.
Do you think this is something that is going to spill over onto the Viking season, or are they going to work on the accommodations for transportation and food?
Now, Viking season, do you mean like the preseason game against San Diego?
Yeah, I think
or
that's
just
a
the
good
regular.
That's a good run through.
Well, they've
We're
got
gonna have
the
to make
2
adjustments.
concerts coming up next week or whatever. They're
Metallica.
back to back.
Yeah.
I don't know. I mean, people. I don't know. In my opinion, but just Uber. Like if like I live near downtown. I Ubered. Just Uber to the game. Or if I've gone to other events, my good friend Tim lets me park at his apartment building, which is like 3 blocks from there. But think ahead. I mean, all these people that are like, well, I'm going to use Matt.
Light rail.
Light rail and mass transit. You've never used it before. You live in Wayzata. Of course you don't know what you're doing. Like
The beautiful people don't know what they're doing going to the new stadium.
But other than that, I mean, if you go back to TCF Bank Stadium, I was at the first game. Mm-hmm. Oh, good for me. They ran out of dilly bars. We stood in line in the club
That's a
section.
travesty.
Yeah,
the
it was.
dilly
I
bar.
was mad,
You wanted like 10 of them.
I did. The club section that they have up there, they had ran out of food. I mean, that's why they do these things, but you got to have a dry run. I don't think it'll carry over because I think they'll have enough bugs to work out. But the one complaint I have is they should have had above instead of on the sides, like where the seats are. Like this is section so-and-so up above because there's so many people you can't see on the sides. They should have it up above so you can see it.
Sure.
That's about it. It was tough to get to our section. Like we didn't know where it was. And there really no like...
It wasn't in the front row at midfield?
No, it was
Right
close. It was close. But we'd walk by it and then go back that way. But I left, walked out, walked 7 blocks. It was easy.
So you're saying soccer didn't hold your attention where you just went in and sat down and watched the whole thing?
Whatever. If that's your thing,
I'm trying to
that's your
set you
thing.
up again, just
no,
let you go.
it's so boring. It was like if you watched the band at Chuck E. Cheese and it isn't turned on. Like you just kind of stared at it and it was just...
animatronic.
That's just as fun as watching soccer.
Nice. That's very good. I like that.
Thank you.
All right,
I literally wrote that down this morning.
the Chuck E.
Yes,
Cheese
I did.
animatronics.
Yep. See, Paul Allen, I am prepared.
Nice. Gophers football, they had their media day last Friday. They're opening up 5 practices this year to the public. They already had their first practice. Very first pass attempt, Mitch Leidner got picked off. Pick 6, went 26 yards the other way. Mitch Leidner seems like the only real talking point that we have so far with Gophers football until the season gets started. Although we got a couple more things tonight. But what's your take on that opening practice, and is it an omen that first bad play?
I don't know. I mean, Mitch
means
is
nothing.
No, it doesn't mean anything. Mitch is Mitch,
Right.
but you hear all the time in the preseason. You heard about a week ago that Michigan is prepped to be a number one, maybe the best team in the country. They've got, my buddy's a huge Michigan fan. They've got this unbelievably good defensive player. I forgot his name, and I'm not going to butcher it. But
But Michigan means nothing to us this year.
Sure,
and that's
you got in the Big Ten as a whole. I don't really know. I don't know what the Gophers are doing, and I'm not going to sit here and be like, well, this, and this is going to happen. I don't really follow them, if I'm honest. I follow a little bit of college football. I don't really follow the Gophers.
So this will be the last week that we put the Gophers in the rundown.
I know two Gophers. I know Tommy Olson, who's sweet, and his brother Ed Olson, and that's it.
That's it.
And I don't know I don't know much about them. I don't, but
I'm trying to set you up to you can either butcher them or love them.
No,
but
I'm not going to butcher them.
Okay.
As I always say though, and I'll say this every time, they put too much, they put too much emphasis on these kids, and they say that they should be paid. Well, they shouldn't get paid because they're going to college for free. But and
that's a different debate. But
sure, Gerdsey had a couple of them on this morning. Coach Clay's on his show, the Cake Show. And he was just saying that it's good to get these guys in here. It's good to get them kind of moving around, and then you get to see what they've done over the summer. And 8 and whatever, I think they can win 8 games.
Sure, might even win.
7 or 8.
Their schedule. Last week we said they might pick last. They were predicted to pick 5th in the Big Ten West. Some people are picking them to be the sleeper to win. And I hate to say this, it's because of a weak schedule. They're not playing Michigan State, or Ohio State. Their toughest is Iowa, Nebraska, and Wisconsin. Everybody was expecting them to have down years.
As I said,
so who knows?
Was it last week? Just beat Wisconsin.
Yeah.
Win a big game on the road. Right. Win a big game. Win the trophy games, and people will be excited about it because if they start winning and rattling off a couple wins, people get excited for it. But they got an uphill climb with their Sunday, the Vikings' new stadium and all that.
Super quick, I wanted to talk Twins. Max Kepler, Rookie of the Year after hitting those 3 home runs.
Max Kepler's sweet, and they're actually kind of fun to watch when they kind of have done what I told them to do is just let these young kids play. Let them fail. Who cares at this point?
Sure.
Get a better draft pick. Yeah. Who cares? Just let them play. Let Max Kepler go up there. And the one thing, do not send Miguel Sano to the minors. That's the dumbest.
It's already happening, isn't it?
No, I don't think so.
Wasn't in place?
No, it's the dumbest thing. We're going to send him to the minors. No. He had a 3-run home run today. He could hit 50 of them in AAA. That helps the Twins 0. Don't send him to the minors.
Nice.
They may send me to the minors.
No, we're up here in the pros. We're on the C-Dub.
Oh, yeah.
Nice. Last thing, Twins, because we got to go quick. Rob Anthony, general manager, do you think that he's making all these moves to try to woo the Pohlads to say that he gets the spot?
I'll be brutally honest with you. The thing that the Pohlads love to do the most is save money, and he got rid of an absolute albatross in a contract with Ricky Nolasco, and he moved him. I don't know how. The guy they got, a lot of the seam heads, the baseball guys, are like, wait, what? When that trade went down, they got a 10-4 pitcher. That was the best move he could have made. That may get him the job.
Nice. We got a job to do, and it's involving some drinking.
Yes.
Time for a break. Get ready. Animatronic. I don't think either of us, we have to tell you, this isn't our first drink of the day, I don't think.
Why would you say that?
It's conversation. It's Sunday night. We're just hanging out. We got a game going on. We got our glasses. We're good to go. All right, people at home, play along. I'm going to ask some questions. This is trivia. I'm going to ask MeatSauce if he gets it right.
Man,
he's drinking.
I'm not good
if he
at
gets
this.
it wrong,
I'm not good at this.
Wrong, he drinks. Right, I drink. All right, Suicide Squad opened this weekend. It's the first ever movie to premiere in August to break the 100 million mark. Over under $125 million.
It did break 100. I didn't know
it did,
that.
but that's why I'm asking you the
reviews
over
are
under.
hideous.
I know.
Under 125, it has to be.
Drink.
Over
135.1.
Holy
box
smoke.
office mojo. I go by the numbers.
People said it was awful.
See, a lot of the critics are saying it's awful.
Yeah,
I don't think that's going to change the people's perspective.
Yeah, you may be right.
135 though.
That's a ton.
This has been a summer where Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles is horrible.
Yeah,
Ghostbusters was a bomb.
Well, and
Batman, Superman, even back in spring.
Yeah, that was a bomb. And even though Suicide Squad made that kind of money, it may still be a bomb, because if that had come out with like 90 plus reviews, or 90% or better on Rotten Tomatoes, they would have made about 150, 160.
Sure.
Because I didn't go see it because I'll maybe see it,
You're going to see it for Margot Robbie. Just be honest.
Yeah, of course.
That's why I would see it.
Yeah, obviously.
Did
you know she's Australian?
Yeah, I did know.
Oh yeah, of course you do, nerd.
Nerd. All right, question 2. Forbes 100 came out with their list this last week, and celebrities were included in here. I wanted to ask you, who do you think earned more money in this last calendar year? Rush Limbaugh, Howard Stern, or Dr. Phil McGraw?
Dr. Phil.
Yeah, you're
Yeah.
right. How did you get
I don't know.
that right?
Because Rush makes a ton, Howard makes a ton. I'm a big Howard Stern fan. And I just,
That's
Dr.
too bad.
Phil, I love Howard Stern. I love Howard Stern.
See,
I got into radio because of 2 people. One of them I won't name because he's a competitor of ours.
And you can't, I understand.
And the other one, I love Howard Stern.
Yeah.
Love him. Hold on.
When there was the battle between Howard Stern and the local morning show, I was the local morning show. That was that late 90s? You were...
I never listened to it because it was so filthy.
Really?
Yeah,
It was
my
too
dad,
dirty?
he'd listen to it and then we'd
And then yell at you for trying to listen
Oh
to it?
yeah. Well, I swore all the time when I was a kid. I wasn't the best.
Nice.
My uncle taught me to swear.
Staying with the money list, who do you think was the number 1 celebrity? Who made the most money this
Was
last
Michael
year?
Jordan a celebrity?
No. This is, let's say
Mark Wahlberg.
Singers. Mark Wahlberg, great choice.
Well, he has all those TV shows.
I don't know where. Taylor Swift. $170 million in 1 year.
Would you say you're a Swiftie, Matt?
I would say I'm not in anything. When it comes to music, and I only listen to K-Fan. And
nerd?
Yeah,
I appreciate that.
K-Fan, when I'm in the kitchen, that's the only thing I listen to. And when I'm on the road, maybe a little classic rock, but that's about it.
Thank you.
Sorry.
All right.
Top 10, other than Taylor Swift, who was the other female singer to crack the top 10?
Gwen Stefani?
No. See, are you getting these wrong on purpose?
Yeah, I like drinking.
I think you're bailing on
Want
this.
to fight about it?
It was Adele. That was an easy
I
one.
saw Adele. My Fallon and
XL?
There's nothing weirder than going to see Adele when it's you and all these husbands that you know were dragged to it, and then the second she opens her mouth, all the husbands are standing and alert watching. She's the best singer I've ever seen. And I've seen the Dave Matthews Band 40 times.
And you go with Adele.
I've seen Van Morrison 5th row at Northrop Auditorium, my favorite of all time.
Oh, yeah, Van Morrison. Yeah.
Unbelievable. Adele is the best singer I've ever seen.
All right.
Rivals Freddie Mercury. Hopefully my wife's asleep.
Nice. Last one.
Heard me say that.
A-Rod is retiring. The Yankees were going to let him
Yeah.
go. His home runs against the Twins, he ranks 4th all time. Can you name players that hit more home runs than him against the Twins?
Ken Griffey Jr.?
Nope.
Edgar Martinez?
Nope.
Jim Fisher?
Oh, the first name was right.
Jim Thome.
Jim Thome was
He
number
killed
1.
us.
So we'll both have a drink on that.
That was number 1?
Jim Thome, 61. Big Hurt Frank Thomas, 52. Mr. October Reggie Jackson,
Were you
52.
a big Hurt fan?
Yeah, he was okay. He was of our era growing up.
There was a
so
guy I
it
went
was-
to elementary school that was the biggest Frank Thomas fan. Loved Frank Thomas.
Had his jersey and everything.
I love that batting stance where he kind of put his back foot up and he just crushed the ball. He was fun to watch.
He was a Twins
Is
killer.
he in the Hall of Fame? Yeah, he's got to be.
I don't know. That's a good
I
question.
think he is.
Good question. We'll have to ask him.
Wrong network.
Oh, that's right. Sorry, different station. We got some Twitter polls coming up after this. Good drinking.
Thank you.
That was nice. God. All right, welcome back. Look us up on Twitter, MeatSauce Monty page. We got Twitter, Facebook. You've got your own.
Yep.
I've got my
I
own.
got Pinterest.
Yeah.
MeatSauceMakesCakes.com.
Nice. I love
It's
that.
not a website.
So I asked a question this week. I got a poll up there. What would you want the first event to be at US Bank Stadium? And I said soccer match, Metallica concert, or Louis C.K. because he just had his stand-up act at Target Center. The winner, 47% of the vote, Louis C.K. Doesn't surprise you that soccer takes 18th?
Oh, who voted for soccer?
Not very many
Oh,
people.
man.
All right, we'll see you next
Bye.
week.